Hello, and welcome to an Internet Marks Reacts. This is a working title, and hopefully I'll come up with something better and far more clever, hopefully, later down the line for what I want to do with something like this. But for now, I want to take a look at a news story. That's basically what the point of this one is. Take a look at a news story that's piqued mine and hopefully your interest. And hopefully relates to sort of, this channel and what we're going to be covering, which is film and TV predominantly, things that we and me mainly is interested in. So yeah, full disclosure, you've seen the title of this video. I'm a massive Marvel big time fan. Away with your DC. Joking. I like a lot of DC, but I was a Marvel guy growing up, and so yeah, that's sort of my focal point when it comes to certainly comic book movies and superhero movies in general. And yeah, so I'm more Marvel than DC. My brothers, talk to them about DC, but I don't hate the films either. I'm a fan, but Marvel numero uno. So context, I guess, background to this. We now just finished Phase 5 of the MCU with Thunderbolts Asterix. You can see a review that I've done on the channel of the film. Needless to say, I really liked it. And so now we find ourselves, well, Marvel is looking past Phase 6 even. I think it's a bit blurry now in terms of what phase they are going to be in or whatever, but we now should be entering Phase 6, I think, with Fantastic Four releasing this summer, and I really want to cover more about that going forward as well. But yeah, so that's the start of Phase 6. I think Phase 6 then goes to the end of Secret Wars, so that'll include the new Spider-Man film, Secret Wars itself, and then there's a rumoured Doctor Strange film, which I may cover as well this week or next week. It's a leaked title has come out apparently, but anyway, the only 3 films they've announced for that phase, whatever that will be, Phase 6. And then I think after Secret Wars, Phase 7 starts, which is going to be either officially or unofficially the mutant phase, where the MCU's X-Men going forward will take center stage, and basically casting has begun, or at least Marvel is looking for people to start embodying the roles within the MCU going forward. And so that brings us to this story, and one of the biggies that needs to be cast in the new X-Men franchise, if you like, going forward in the MCU is Magneto. Eric Lenscher, massive character, brilliantly portrayed by Sir Ian McKellen in the old films. Then Michael Fassbender, I thought, did a really good job as well, taking that on with the sort of the younger group that was assembled during the First Class era, and then they sort of dovetailed with Days of Future Past. And yeah, I thought both of them have done really stellar performances and really embodied that character amazingly well. And so last week there was a rumour or a story floating around that Denzel Washington was being eyed for that role, even though he'd already confirmed he was, or leaked in an interview, that he was going to be included in Black Panther 3, which again hasn't been officially released, and a date hasn't been released for that, whether that's part of Phase 6 that I've just mentioned, or is that going to be in the Mutant Saga in Phase 7 post Secret Wars, who knows. None of that's been confirmed yet. Anyway, Denzel leaked that he's had a role written for him, or certainly been cast for it. Last week he was linked with the Magneto role, which turned a few eyebrows. I love Denzel Washington. I think he's a brilliant actor. And so you can sort of see there the sort of ilk. They're going for an actor of sort of gravitas, of standing, a classically trained actor perhaps. That's the sort of ilk we're looking at. And so now we get to today's story that's making the rounds, and whether you believe it or not, this is getting some traction, so we'll cover it as well as everybody else is. And so here we'll look at from comicbookmovie.com, and this is getting some traction out there. Rumor, 3-time Oscar winner Daniel Day-Lewis is being eyed to play Magneto in Marvel Studios' X-Men reboot. Once upon a time, casting rumors for the Fantastic Four first steps were endless. Now it's the turn of the X-Men reboot, as we have another wild casting room to share with you, this time for Magneto, blah blah blah. Thunderbolts director Jake Schreier, who did a great job with Thunderbolts, to be fair, is set to direct Marvel Studios' X-Men reboot film. The rumour mill continues churning out possible names for the highly anticipated movie, which, for what it's worth, we've heard is currently being referred to as the Uncanny X-Men. That's cool. Go away, you advert. We're not putting too much stock into any of these casting claims, but following this past week's Professor X and Jean Grey rumours, there's a possible update on the MCU's Magneto. According to Scooper, My Time to Shine, Marvel Studios designed 3-time Oscar winner Sir Daniel Day-Lewis for the role of Master of Magnetism. Would he ever really consider a superhero movie role? We wouldn't bank on it, though. The same might once have been said of Sir Ian McKellen. That's a good point, to be fair. It's worth noting that this comes after the insider said no new X-Men cast will be introduced in the upcoming Avengers films. That's a good idea, because the focus is on giving closure to the original characters. Casting hasn't started yet because director Jake Schreier hasn't officially signed on, although that would be great if he did, because he did a really good job with Thunderbolts. Sorry, I keep adding editorial. That's why Sadie Sink isn't playing Jean Grey. She's going to be in the Spider-Man 4 film, apparently. That said, there are 3 roles Kevin Feige has specific actors, or at least types, in mind for: Xavier, Magneto, and Storm. The names he's considering feel a bit too big to actually land, but you'll see. I'll mention them soon. Aside from those 3, I haven't heard of any other actors being considered yet. So, while the studio would like Daniel Day-Lewis to play Magneto, no offer has gone out, and he's likely just indicative of the type of actor Feige would like to see fill the role in the MCU. After McKellen and Michael Fassbender, we're not shocked to see that Feige is aiming high. Daniel Day-Lewis won the Best Actor offer from My Left Foot, There Will Be Blood and Lincoln. Yep. I thought he won it for Gangs of New York. I'm totally off on that. Wow. Yeah, but he's an amazing actor. If you've ever seen him in anything, he's probably the best thing in it. He's phenomenal. McKellen McKellen's due to return in Magneto and Doomsday, which I'm looking forward to a lot, amongst some of the other cast they've announced, and Channing Tatum, of course. Meanwhile, lesser known scooper, main middleman has claimed that Kirby Howe-Baptiste and Jodie Turner-Smith are contenders to up the MCU Storm. Okay, so that's about Storm, so we'll leave that. So, that's the story out there. They mentioned in the article the chances of landing Daniel Day-Lewis, slim and far between. I agree. I think it would be amazing. It would send shockwaves to the film industry at large, I think, if Marvel was to land Daniel Day-Lewis as the role of Magneto. I mean, phenomenal get. I think he retired, if I'm right in thinking, 7 or 8 years ago, after the Phantom Thread, the Fabric film. No, the film where he was a designer. He was a clothes designer. It was a bit of a drama film, and he retired after that. I think he's come back to do his son's film, which is being released this year. I read, but I don't think he's not a guy that sort of likes big time sort of popcorn filmmaking, and so it'd be a huge get if they were to get him. So the chances of getting him, I think, are few and far between. I don't know if this is a leaked story, should we say, from the studio themselves to sort of put the feelers out or something. I'm not sure. Either way, yes, phenomenal get. They're not going to get him. I would put their chances at 99% not going to get him, because he just seemingly is not that kind of actor. That said, it's not impossible. Ian McKellen, that article makes a good point. Probably wouldn't have been likely to be cast, and that he was cast in the X-Men film, I believe, long time before he was cast as Gandalf. I think I'm right in saying, because Lord of the Rings didn't come out till 2 years later after the first X-Men. So, I'm guessing that that's educated guesswork from my part, and like I said, editorializing. But phenomenal actor. Really big fan of him. I would love him to play Magneto, but I don't think so. I think they're going to get someone else for that, I think, but it shows, like you said, it shows that Kevin Feige is aiming high. He's one of, if not the best actors that's ever lived. Certainly his resume and his awards tally dictates that that's the case. Magneto needs an actor of that ilk. It can't be a sort of, I don't want to say an up and comer or an unknown. I don't think you necessarily need a name attached to it, but you certainly need a name that can command that role. That role is so sacred to the fans of, I was going to say the franchise, but comic books at large. Magneto is a huge character and a huge part. His backstory, which I've heard they're going to change because of the time difference now between the events of 1939 and now, are just too grand and too big now, or too long between. So anyway, so then they're going to change the story to match something towards the Vietnam War. But that, again, that might be a rumor. And it'd be a shame if they did lose that backstory, because it's so powerful. Anyone who's seen the original X-Men film from the year 2000 with Hugh Jackman and James Marsden and Halle Berry, really well done, that Holocaust segment, which I know is going to get me dinged on YouTube now, but yeah, really powerful. So yeah, I think, long story short, and I'm waffling a little bit now, brilliant get, really good choice, but he's probably not going to do it. This is fanciful. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe, it really does help the channel. And yeah, go get him, Kevin Feige, go get Daniel Day-Lewis. Speak to you later, thank you, bye.